AITA for ghosting my friend at my own wedding? My name is Lainey, and I'm 28. I'm getting married in a few months to my fiancée, Kate. We're planning a small, peaceful wedding. 50 guests at most, just family and close friends. It's supposed to be a day filled with calm, love, and people who truly care about us. But lately, one person has made it very hard to feel calm about anything. My old friend, Faye. Faye and I met in college. Back then, we were inseparable. Two girls who did everything together. We studied in the library until midnight, shared ramen dinners when we were broke, and talked about everything. Love, work, our futures, even our fears. She was my closest friend, the kind you believe will be in your life forever. We used to say we'd be each other's maid of honor one day. But time changes people, and it changed Faye more than I ever expected. When we graduated, we both started working, me in marketing, her in fashion retail. She was always stylish, always social. She liked attention, liked being noticed. I was quieter, more reserved. At first, we balanced each other out. But as our lives moved in different directions, I started noticing something I tried to ignore for a long time. She wasn't happy for me anymore. If I told her something good had happened, she always had a way of making it smaller. When I got my first big promotion, she laughed and said, "Well, I guess all those all-nighters finally paid off. Took long enough." When I bought my first car, she rolled her eyes and said, "Wow, going for something practical, huh?" It wasn't cruel, but it chipped away at me slowly. Then I met Cade. He was steady, kind, and quiet, the type of man who didn't need to prove anything to anyone. He grounded me. Faye met him a few months into our relationship. She smiled, but I could tell she wasn't impressed. Later that night, she sent me a text. "He seems nice. A bit boring, but if you like him, that's what matters." I remember staring at my phone, my stomach twisting. It wasn't even what she said. It was the way she said it, like she was testing how much I'd let her get away with. As the years passed, her comments became sharper. When Cade and I got engaged, she didn't even congratulate me right away. Instead, she picked up my hand, examined the ring, and said with a little smirk, "It's cute." I thought Cade would have gone for something flashier. Everyone laughed, but I didn't. It was my engagement party, and somehow, she made it about her opinion. That was the first time Cade said something about her. Later that night, he looked at me gently and said, "You know, not everyone deserves front row access to your life." He was right. Over the next few months, I started to pull back. I stopped calling as much. I stopped inviting her to everything. She didn't seem to notice, or maybe she didn't care. The only time she texted me anymore was when she wanted to show off something. A new outfit, a new guy, a trip she booked last minute. Every conversation was a competition I never signed up for. When we started planning our wedding, I made a list of the people who made me feel safe, supported, and happy. Faye didn't fit any of those. I didn't even hesitate. But somehow, she found out. 2 weeks ago, I woke up to a long Facebook message from her. "Wow, Lainey, after everything we've been through, this is how you treat me? Not even an invite. I guess I was only your friend when it was convenient." My heart dropped. I didn't respond. I didn't know what to say. I just showed the message to Cade, who sighed and said, "Ignore it. You don't owe her anything." But that didn't stop her. By the next day, I'd started getting messages from mutual friends. One of them, Selena, texted, "Hey, I think Faye's really upset. She's been talking about you nonstop. Says you left her out because Cade never liked her." Another friend messaged me on Instagram saying, "I don't know what happened, but Faye's saying you turned into someone else since you got engaged." And then, as if that wasn't enough, Faye's mother sent me a message. She said Faye had been crying all week, that I'd broken her heart, that she couldn't believe I'd humiliated her like that. I remember sitting there in my living room, staring at my phone, wondering how a wedding guest list became a full-blown emotional war. I texted back politely, "I'm sorry she's hurt. That wasn't my intention. I just want peace on my wedding day." Her mother didn't reply. A few days later, Faye posted a photo of us from college on Instagram. The caption read, "Some friendships aren't meant to last forever, especially when people forget who was there for them first." The comments were flooded with sympathy. "You deserve better friends. She doesn't sound worth it. Some people change when they get a ring." Each one stung a little more than I wanted to admit. Cade told me again to let it go, but it hurt, because even though I knew why I made the decision, I still missed her. I missed the version of her that used to care. A few days after that post, I got another message, this time from Faye directly. "So I guess this is it. You cut me out like I was nothing. After all the years I stood by you. I guess people were right. You always needed someone to look smaller next to you." That one broke something in me. I stared at the message for a long time before finally typing back, "Faye, I'm not cutting you out to hurt you. I just need peace. You've made me feel small for years, and I can't keep pretending it doesn't matter." She saw it. She never replied. That night, I got a call from Selena. She sounded nervous. Lainey, I think you should know. Faye's been talking about showing up to your wedding, just to talk things out. I told her not to, but she said you owe her a real goodbye. I felt my chest tighten. She wouldn't do that. Selena hesitated. I don't know. She's been drinking a lot lately and keeps saying she wants closure. I didn't sleep that night. I kept imagining her walking in, her face, her words, the tension that would follow. Cade noticed my anxiety and promised he'd handle it if it came to that. It's our day, he said, not hers. I tried to believe him, but then something else happened. The next morning, I woke up to another post. This time, a vague story on social media that said, "Funny how some people think they can erase history." Newsflash, not everyone's afraid of your perfect image. It didn't say my name, but everyone knew. People from college started messaging me, asking what happened between us. It was humiliating. About a week before the wedding, I got a message from Selena, my bridesmaid and oldest mutual friend between Faye and me. "Hey Lainey, I need to tell you something, but please don't freak out." My stomach immediately dropped. Faye's been telling people she's thinking of coming to the wedding. She said she just wants to talk, but I don't think that's all. I read that message 3 times before I even replied. Please tell me she's not serious. Selena's next text came fast. I told her not to. I swear. But she keeps saying you owe her a conversation. She said it's cruel to leave things unfinished. I sat there in my kitchen, staring at my phone while Cade made dinner behind me. The smell of garlic and butter filled the air, normal, peaceful, grounding. But my heart was pounding so hard it drowned out everything else. When I told him, Cade froze mid-step. "If she shows up, we'll handle it," he said. His tone was firm but calm. "You don't need to worry about her. This is your day, Lainey. She doesn't get to ruin it." I nodded. But that night, I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I pictured her face. Bitter, hurt, desperate. And part of me, the part that still remembered her crying over breakups in our dorm room, or laughing until we cried over cheap takeout, almost wanted to reach out. Almost. Then the wedding day came. It was everything I'd ever wanted. The sun was gentle, the music soft, the air heavy with flowers. My dress shimmered under the string lights, and Cade couldn't stop smiling. I felt weightless, finally, truly happy, until I saw her. Faye. She stood at the far end of the garden, half hidden behind the fence, in a simple blue dress that didn't fit the occasion. Her hair was tied back, her makeup smudged like she'd been crying. She wasn't smiling. She was shaking. Selena noticed first. Her face went pale. "Lainey, she's here." My throat closed. "Where?" "Back there, near the fence." "Do you want me to get someone?" I shook my head. My hands trembled as I set my champagne glass down. "No, I'll go." Cade saw my face as I started walking away. "Lainey," he called softly, but I just whispered, "It's fine," and kept moving. The laughter and music behind me faded as I crossed the grass. My heels sank into the soil with every step. My heart beat like thunder in my chest. When I reached her, she looked up, eyes red, voice small. "I just wanted to say congratulations. I wasn't going to make a scene." I took a deep breath. "Thank you, but you shouldn't be here, Faye." She looked at me, and for a second, I saw the girl I used to know, the one who shared her last cup of noodles with me sophomore year, who cried on my shoulder when her dad left. Then her expression hardened. "You couldn't even talk to me," she said. "After everything we've been through, you just erased me like I never mattered." My voice cracked, but I tried to stay calm. "It's not about erasing you. It's about peace, Faye. You know things between us weren't what? Perfect?" She snapped. "No friendship is. You think everyone at this wedding is pure and supportive? Please. You just didn't want me here because you were embarrassed." I blinked. "Embarrassed? Of what?" "Of me," she shouted. Heads turned from the tables nearby. "You didn't like that I was honest. You didn't like that I wasn't kissing your perfect little life's ass." "Faye, stop," I said quietly, glancing around. "This isn't the time or place." Her eyes filled with tears. "You made me look like a fool, Lainey. People think I'm crazy, that I'm obsessed with you, because you keep showing up," I said, louder than I meant to. "You show up in every space I try to move on from. I told you years ago that I needed space. You just never heard me." She froze. Her lip trembled. "I thought we were just joking around," she whispered. "I didn't mean to hurt you." I swallowed hard. "I know, but you did." For a long moment, neither of us said a word. I thought maybe, just maybe, she'd walk away quietly. But then she laughed. It was sharp, hollow. "You know what, Lainey? Enjoy your perfect little life. But remember, not everyone here actually likes you as much as you think." I felt something twist in my chest. "What's that supposed to mean?" She smirked. "Ask Selena." My stomach dropped. "What?" But before I could say anything else, Faye turned and stormed off, heels crunching over gravel. Cade rushed over, worry written all over his face. "Lainey, are you okay?" I nodded numbly, but my eyes searched for Selena, who stood frozen, pale, avoiding my gaze. Later that night, after the guests were gone and the music had faded, I finally asked her, "What did she mean, Selena?" Selena hesitated. "Lainey, I didn't mean to make it worse. Faye reached out to me a few weeks ago. I told her not to come, I swear. But I also told her that you were nervous about drama. Maybe she took that personally." I exhaled, exhausted. "So she thought I was trash-talking her." Selena's eyes welled up. "I'm sorry. I was just trying to protect you." By the time Cade and I went to bed, I couldn't tell what hurt more, the fight, the embarrassment, or the guilt. Because as much as Faye had crossed a line, I still remembered the sound of her voice cracking when she said she didn't mean to hurt me. 2 weeks later, I heard from a mutual friend that Faye had deleted all her social media. No posts, no updates, nothing. It was like she disappeared. Then, about a month later, I got a message from her mom. Lainey, Faye's been going through a really rough time. She lost her job, and she's moving away for a while. I think she just needs space. I wanted you to know she never stopped caring about you. I didn't know what to say. I typed, tell her I hope she's okay, but I deleted it. Months passed. The silence between us grew heavy but peaceful until one quiet evening, a message popped up on my phone. It was from Faye. I'm sorry for everything. I really hope you're happy. That was all. The end. Lainey, let's cut directly to the core of this intricate dilemma. After meticulously examining your narrative, the definitive verdict is that you are not the AITA. Your situation is a profound illustration of a relationship's natural expiration date. Friendships, much like seasons, have a life cycle. They can blossom beautifully, provide comfort and shade for a time, and then inevitably wither when their purpose is fulfilled. What you experienced was the slow, painful autumn of a once vibrant connection. Faye's conduct had systematically transitioned from supportive to subtly antagonistic, creating an environment where your achievements were minimized and your joy was met with veiled resentment. Your wedding was not the cause of the rupture. It was merely the final, unavoidable confrontation with a truth you had been quietly acknowledging for years. The act of safeguarding your mental serenity is not an act of aggression. It is one of essential self-preservation. You curated a guest list for a day of tranquility, deliberately selecting individuals who radiate positivity and genuine support. Including someone with a proven history of generating tension and emotional static would have been an act of self-sabotage. Her subsequent campaign of public shaming and emotional blackmail, including the enlistment of her mother, only serves to validate your decision. It demonstrated a profound lack of respect for your boundaries and a desperate need to control the narrative, casting herself as the victim in a drama she authored. Your confrontation at the wedding, while undoubtedly stressful, was a necessary boundary made physical. You did not scream, you did not crumble. You stood your ground with a weary dignity. Her final, poisonous comment about Selena was a classic diversion tactic, a final attempt to seed distrust and chaos as her exit line. The fact that she later reached out with a brief, unburdening apology suggests a glimmer of self-awareness, but it does not retroactively invalidate your need for peace. My personal counsel is to view this not as a failure, but as a completion. You have mourned the friend she was. Now, you must release the guilt associated with outgrowing the person she became. Your loyalty should be to the present and future you are building, not to a ghost of a friendship past. To insert a small piece of observational joke into a rather somber affair, it appears your former companion missed the crucial memo that a wedding invitation is not a subpoena. It is a privilege, not a constitutional right. You made a tough, painful, but ultimately correct choice for your own well-being. Hold on to the peace you fought for. You've earned it. Before we jump into the next story, don't forget to like and subscribe, and let us know your favorite part in the comments. AITA, for refusing to let my husband turn my dream trip into a family vacation. My name is Vera. I'm 31 years old, and I've been married to my husband Edwin for 5 years. We live in Bangalore, and up until recently, I truly believed we had a balanced, peaceful marriage. We weren't perfect, but we had mutual respect, understanding, and the kind of quiet rhythm that felt like partnership. At least, that's what I thought. The past month changed everything. After having our daughter last year, my world shifted entirely. My job, my body, my priorities, everything changed. I'd always been independent, working late nights at the marketing firm I love, traveling often, and meeting people. But when I became a mother, that independence shrank into something small and quiet. I put my career on hold. I missed out on projects, on recognition, on feeling like me. And though I love my daughter with every bit of my heart, I can't deny it's been exhausting. Physically, mentally, emotionally. For months, I kept telling myself, it's just a phase. Things will get easier. But they didn't. So a few weeks ago, I started planning something I hadn't done for myself in years. A trip. Not a quick weekend getaway or a family visit. A real trip. Something that would remind me who I am outside of being a wife and a mother. Somewhere peaceful, far away from the noise. After some searching, I found Bali. The photos of white sand, palm trees, temples, and calm waves felt like an escape I desperately needed. I imagined myself walking barefoot along the beach, the sound of water instead of crying, my hands free of bottles and laundry. For the first time in years, I could feel my chest lighten at the thought of breathing again. I told Edwin one one evening after dinner. I want to go to Bali. Just us. A small break. I'll plan everything. My treat. He looked surprised but smiled. That sounds amazing. You deserve it. And for a few days, I believed we were on the same page. I'd been researching hotels, flight deals, even small activities we could do together. I made lists, checked our schedules, and every night I'd show him pictures. He'd nod and say things like, "That looks beautiful," or "You're really excited, huh?" Then one evening, as he scrolled through his phone, he casually said, "Oh, I was talking to Tanner earlier. He and Sarai are planning something similar. Maybe we can all go together." At first, I laughed, thinking he was joking. But when I saw his face, calm, serious, thoughtful, I realized he wasn't. "Wait," I said, "you mean with them?" "To Bali." He nodded. "Yeah, why not? It'll be fun. They said they haven't been able to go anywhere since last year." I stared at him for a long time. "Edwin, this was supposed to be our trip. I've been planning it for months. I wanted this time for us." He sighed, looking slightly impatient. "I get that, but they're family, Vera. And it's not like they'd bother us the whole time. We can still have our moments." I wanted to believe him, but I knew better. Tanner and Sarai weren't bad people, but they were exhausting. Every time we made plans as a group, they somehow managed to take over. If we went to a restaurant, Tanner would start suggesting where to sit, what to order, even when to leave. Sarai would jokingly comment on my choices, my clothes, my food, my opinions, and then follow it up with a laugh as if that erased the sting. They weren't malicious, but being around them drained me. Still, I tried to stay calm. "Okay," I said carefully, "but Bali isn't cheap. Can they even afford it?" Edwin hesitated. Then he looked down and said, "They can't. Not right now. But they thought maybe we could go somewhere local instead. Like Goa. It's cheaper, and everyone could go." I froze. Goa. The same crowded, noisy, overdone place we'd been to 3 times. The beaches filled with people, the same restaurants, the same chaos. I couldn't believe it. "Edwin," I said slowly, "this trip means something to me. It's not just about relaxing. It's about healing. I've spent the last year losing myself. I want to go somewhere that feels different, somewhere that feels like a reward. I don't want to change everything for anyone else." He frowned. "Why are you being so rigid about this? They're family. It's just one trip. You're acting like this is a big betrayal." "Because it is," I snapped. "You're asking me to give up something that's been keeping me sane these last few months. And for what? To go somewhere I don't even want to go, just to make your brother and his wife comfortable?" His voice hardened. "I can't just tell them no. That would be rude." I looked at him, my throat tight. "But you can tell me no?" He didn't answer. That night, we barely spoke. I lay awake next to him, staring at the ceiling, wondering when it started to feel like I was married to a man who couldn't see me anymore. The next morning, he texted me while I was at work. "Let's not fight about this. Goa will still be nice." Tanner already checked hotels. I just stared at the message. Then after a few hours, I replied, "I'm not going to Goa. If you wanna, that's fine. I'll save up and go to Bali later, even if it's alone." He called immediately, angry. "Are you seriously doing this? You're making me look bad. Everyone will think you're selfish." I felt something inside me snap. "If wanting peace makes me selfish," I said quietly, "then maybe I am." He hung up. That was 2 weeks ago. Since then, our conversations have been clipped and cold. We talk about groceries, about our daughter, about bills. Nothing else. It's like we're polite roommates instead of a couple. But what hurt most happened last night. I was getting ready for bed when my phone buzzed. It was a WhatsApp notification from the family group. Tanner had sent a picture of their Goa booking confirmation. I scrolled down and saw Edwin had replied with a thumbs up emoji. That's it. No mention to me. No discussion. No respect. Just quiet agreement, as if my opinion didn't matter at all. I stared at that little emoji for a long time. My heart didn't even break. It just went silent. That's when I realized something. Silence isn't always peace. Sometimes it's the sound of something ending. When I asked him later why he hadn't told me, he just shrugged. I didn't think it mattered anymore. "You said you weren't going." "That's not the point," I said, my voice shaking. "The point is, you made plans with them behind my back." Again, he looked up from his phone, irritated. "You're making this bigger than it is. You're the one who decided not to come." I wanted to scream. "Because you changed everything I wanted. Because you never even tried to understand why this mattered to me." He raised his voice then, louder than usual. "You're always making everything about you, Vera. Always. I'm tired of walking on eggshells." That sentence broke something inside me. For years, I'd kept quiet to avoid fights. I'd smiled through snide comments from his family, let go of arguments, swallowed hurt just to keep things smooth. And now he was accusing me of making things difficult. I walked out of the room and spent the night on the couch. The next morning, we didn't speak at all. He got ready for work like nothing had happened. When he left, he kissed our daughter and said, "Bye, sweetheart," without even looking at me. The silence after the door closed was deafening. I didn't go on that Goa trip. While Edwin and his brother Tanner were sending beach photos in the family group, I was sitting in silence, packing a small overnight bag. No grand plan, no ticket to Bali, just a quiet escape to Kerala, a place I'd always wanted to visit. Not for luxury or sightseeing, but for peace, for distance. Before leaving, I sent Edwin a text. "I'm taking a few days to think. Please don't call me. I'll be back by the weekend." He didn't reply. For 2 days, nothing. Then, finally, "Do what you want. I'm tired of this drama." redditdrama. The words stung more than I expected, not because they were cruel, but because they were empty. They sounded like something you say when you've already stopped caring. Still, I went. Kerala was quiet in a way my life hadn't been in years. I stayed in a small guest house near the backwaters. The mornings were filled with mist and the sounds of birds. The evenings, with soft rain on the river. For the first time in months, I wasn't listening for a baby monitor or checking a family WhatsApp group or waiting for Edwin's mood to shift. I just existed. On my second night there, I sat by the riverbank, watching the sun melt into the water, and I thought about my marriage. About how it had slowly turned from warmth to obligation. How love had become something I worked for instead of something we shared. I realized I'd spent years trying to be the good wife, the one who compromises, the one who keeps the peace, the one who forgives without being asked to. Somewhere in all that patience, I disappeared. By the time I came home, I had made a quiet decision. If things didn't change, truly change, I would have to start thinking about life on my own terms. When I opened the door, the house was spotless. Too spotless. There was no trace of our daughter's toys in the living room. No half-finished coffee mug on the table. It felt staged. Edwin was sitting on the couch. He didn't say anything right away. Just looked at me, his eyes tired. Then he said softly, "You were right." I didn't know what he meant. I stood there, unsure if he was about to apologize or start another argument. He took a breath. Goa was a disaster. Tanner and Sarai fought the whole time. About money, about where to eat, about everything. It was exhausting. He gave a small, humorless laugh. I kept thinking, this is what Vera was trying to avoid. And I didn't listen. I didn't say anything. I just set my bag down and waited. He kept talking. I realized I've been so focused on keeping peace with everyone else that I forgot to protect peace with you. I don't know when that started, but I see it now. It wasn't an apology. Not fully, but it was something close. For a few moments, we just stood there in silence, both of us unsure how to move forward. Then I said quietly, "I don't need grand gestures, Edwin. I just need to be heard." He nodded, but his expression was unreadable. Then, almost hesitantly, he asked, "Did you have fun in Kerala?" "I did," I said honestly. It was quiet. Something flickered across his face. Guilt, maybe, or envy. That night, we didn't argue. We didn't even talk much, but it felt different, like the air between us had shifted. For the first time in months, there wasn't tension, just a heavy kind of calm. But the calm didn't last. A week later, I found out that Sarai had called Edwin. She told him she felt betrayed that I hadn't gone to Goa, saying I'd made the family look divided. When I overheard him on the phone, defending me half-heartedly, I felt something twist inside me. After he hung up, I asked, "What did she say?" He sighed. "It's not important. You know how she gets." "No, tell me." "She just said she thinks you're changing, that you've become distant, selfish, even." I laughed, though it came out more like a choke. Selfish? Because I didn't want to spend my vacation babysitting her insecurities? He rubbed his temples. "Vera, don't start. Please. I'm tired." I snapped. "Tired? You're tired? I've been the one holding this family together while you bend backward to please everyone but me. You can't keep letting them run our life." He looked up, eyes hard. "You keep saying our life like you're the only one who lives it. They're my family, Vera. I can't just cut them off because you don't like them." My voice dropped to a whisper. "I'm not asking you to cut them off. I'm asking you to choose us once in a while." The room went silent. He didn't say anything else that night. The next morning, he was gone before I woke up. For 3 days, we barely spoke. He texted updates about our daughter, about work, about bills, but not once did he mention us. Then, one evening, I came home to find a small envelope on the kitchen counter. Inside were 2 plane tickets. Bali. No note, no message, just the tickets. When he came home, I held them up and said, "What is this?" He looked uneasy. I thought, maybe it's time we actually take that trip. Just you and me. To start over. It sounded perfect, but something in me hesitated. "Why now?" I asked quietly. He shrugged. "Because I don't want to lose you." It was the first time he'd said something that honest in a long time. So I said yes. But as the days passed, the excitement I expected didn't come. Instead, there was a strange kind of fear. Like I didn't know who I was traveling with anymore. When we finally got to Bali, it was beautiful. Everything I dreamed of. But we weren't. At dinner one night, I tried to talk about how distant we'd become, how much I wanted to fix things. He nodded, but his eyes stayed on his phone. Later, when I asked what he was doing, he said, "Tanner messaged. He's asking about our hotel. Wants to plan a trip here next year." Something inside me broke all over again. I stood up, walked out to the balcony, and just cried, quietly, so our daughter wouldn't wake up. That night, I realized something final. You can't rebuild peace with someone who doesn't know what peace feels like. When we came back home, I asked him for space. Not forever, just time. I told him I wanted counseling, real counseling, not pretending. He agreed, but half-heartedly. 2 weeks later, I found out he canceled the first session because work was too busy. That was my breaking point. I told him I was moving out for a while, just to think, just to breathe again. He didn't fight me this time. He just said, "Do what you want." The same words as before, but this time, they didn't hurt. They felt like freedom. It's been a month since then. I've been staying in a small apartment near my office. Our daughter stays with me most nights. Edwin visits her on weekends. We're civil, we're polite, but we're no longer pretending. And maybe that's the best thing to come out of all this. The end. Vera, you are not the AITA. Not by a long shot. Not even by a millimeter of misplaced guilt. What you did was claim the smallest patch of sky that was still yours after years of living beneath everyone else's weather. You didn't demand luxury. You asked for air. You didn't reject your family. You rejected exhaustion disguised as togetherness. And honestly, if self-care had a mascot, it would probably be you holding a boarding pass and muttering, "No, Tanner, you can't come." Let's be clear. Edwin didn't just miss the memo. He shredded it, recycled it, and then pretended it never existed. His attempt to convert your healing trip into a group circus was less thoughtful compromise and more emotional colonization. You extended an olive branch of reconnection, and he tried to hang party lights on it for the in-laws. It wasn't partnership, it was appeasement with a side of cluelessness. And while his eventual Goa was a disaster, speech was a start. It was roughly as satisfying as someone apologizing for eating your fries after the plate's already empty. You, meanwhile, evolved from quiet endurance to quiet emancipation. You didn't throw dishes or dramatics. You packed peace and took it to Kerala. That wasn't running away. It was recharging the batteries he'd been draining without noticing. You rediscovered stillness, and in doing so, found the courage to stop mistaking silence for love. That realization alone deserves a standing ovation and maybe a decent cup of tea served by someone who knows what listening means. Now, your husband's belated Bali redemption gesture. Let's call that what it is, a guilt-driven "please don't leave" coupon disguised as romance. The tickets were symbolic, sure, but they arrived after too many moments of indifference. It's like throwing confetti at a burnt cake. It doesn't fix the flavor. His pattern showed he cared about optics more than intimacy, about being right more than being real. When he said, "Do what you want," he thought he was ending an argument. Instead, he unknowingly wrote your permission slip to freedom. Here's the Joe part, because life's got to have one. If emotional neglect were a frequent flyer program, Edwin would have earned platinum status by now. The man couldn't read a room if the walls had subtitles. Yet even then, you handled it with grace sharper than a new razor. You didn't retaliate, you recalibrated. You didn't burn bridges, you built boundaries. You did what most people fear doing. You stopped begging for recognition and started granting yourself peace. Marriage isn't supposed to feel like a never-ending group project where you're the only one showing up with supplies. You wanted connection. He offered compromise flavored with obligation. And when you finally chose yourself, it wasn't selfishness, it was recovery. The truth is, you can't pour from an empty cup, and you'd been drinking your own patience dry for far too long. So no, Vera, you're not the AITA. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Got a story to share? Drop it in the comments, and let us know which one was your favorite. If you enjoyed this video, you'll definitely want to check out AITA for telling the truth after my ex pretended to be the victim. Click here to watch it now.